So you said that you were left, like, when Crass pretty much disbanded, and it sort of forced you to face yourself and to look at the other members of Crass and think, would I be involved with these people if it weren't for the common thing? What did you find out about yourself that you hadn't even allowed?
Well, I think, looking at myself, I think I got, when the band finished, I got a bit resentful, actually, and I thought, you know, for all these years I've been a good boy in a funny way, you know, and I didn't, I mean, it's very strange because, you know, people ask me, but about the Crass years, when Crass were going, for example, I have no stories to tell of the time we went to a party and acted like wild animals or set off a fire extinguisher. We didn't do that. We had cups of tea and sandwiches. And I sort of thought, I've sort of missed out on my youth in a funny way, you know, that I should have been out there causing a tear-up and all this kind of thing. Actually, I did a little bit when I got involved with conflict. I got resentful, and then I put my thinking cap on, and I thought, no, actually what I've done here, you know, what I did there was right. You know, Crass had to function the way it did, as hard-line as it was, and as tough as it was for me in there sometimes. Otherwise, it wouldn't have done it. And the funny thing is that I still, in some ways, live my life according to, not the rules of Crass, but, you know, that ideology almost. That, for example, when we were Crass, you know, I used to go out, obviously, to a bar or something and have a few drinks, but I always knew that I couldn't be seen to be drunk, because if I got drunk and fell in the gutter and acted like an idiot, then all of Crass had fallen in the gutter and were acting like idiots. So there was, you know, I had to, you know, be careful of that.
Well, there is a certain responsibility to being a member of Crass.
That's the word I was looking for, responsibility. Thank you. So I think that's for me. And then I sort of realised that, you know, I remember saying to Penn once, you know, Penn, don't you miss being in Crass? You know, don't you miss sort of doing it, getting up on stage? And he said, no, he said, no, Steve, I've had my John Lennon moment, and I'm satisfied with that. And I went away and I thought, I haven't had my David Bowie moment yet, and I'm not satisfied. I still want to do something. And I asked people if they would be interested in doing some more music, but, you know, not doing Crass and stuff, but nobody was, you know, so I had to look outside of that. I respect their reasons for not wanting to, but I always remember feeling very sad, you know, that I had to, you know, couldn't perform with my friends anymore, you know, because we'd been such a family, and suddenly it was gone, you know. And then, as I say, arguments were developing and differences of opinion. But, you know, I stayed in touch with people over the years, you know, and then it gradually drifted away. But, you know, it's okay.
Were you in touch with John Loder before he died?
Yes, I was, yes. I saw him about 3 or 4 weeks before, you know, and that was really lovely. I invited him to come round to my house, and unfortunately he never made it. There you go, I'll catch him next time.
Right. Did his death, was that part of the catalyst to going into and re-reviewing the material? I think so, and for me also, yeah. I mean, we on the visuals every night, there's a picture of John Loder. There's a couple of pictures of John Loder that appear, and John Loder was always the 8th or the 9th member of Crass to me. When he died, you know, I mean, that was a real wrench, because, like, you know, it really was, you know, someone from the family had gone and weren't going to be back, and I was like, end of an era sort of thing, you know. And poor John, he did so much to help other people and other bands, you know. Lovely bloke he was. So, you know, at least now what I can do is sort of have John on stage with me in that way. And, you know, I don't ever dedicate things to John. I don't think he would have wanted that. But, you know, when I'm up there shouting out those lyrics, you know, I've always got him in the back of my mind, you know. And it's funny because sometimes I look to the side of the stage expecting him to be there with that big toothy grin he used to have, counting the money, which I... Oh, that's great. So you are doing visuals with your show then?
Yeah, well, what we did, the idea for the visuals, and this is why, if your listeners, you know, look, if any of you listeners out there, or even yourself, Diane, if you've got any pictures of yourself, any photographs of when you was a punk, you know, or back what you was doing in 78, or whatever you look like, even if you weren't a punk, send it in to Alison at Southern by computer
this is how computer literate I am. Yes, you know, via computer, computer, as we say in these parts. And you know, you will be a part of the visuals on stage. And it's just our way of, you know, look, all you lot can be a part of it as well. You know, your picture will be, you send the picture in, it will be on stage, I promise.
Oh, that's great.
And
that's really great.
It just works so well because it was, well, we could have visuals, you know, all right, I don't want riot police beating people up, I don't want wars, and I don't want an atomic explosion going off. That's all been done. And it's so lovely now because, obviously when, you know, the female vocalist is doing you know, the penis envy songs or whatever, I get a chance to look at the visuals, and it's just all these really cute, lovely young faces smiling, and you know, with spiky hair and stuff, and it just fits in a really, really moving, emotional way in with the lyrics, and it's sort of I don't know, it puts the songs on a different level, if you know what I mean. So you know, if you've got any photographs, send them in. We'd love to have them. I'd love to have you on stage with me.
That's awesome. It sounds to me that you're really doing this as a community thing.
As best I can. Obviously, I can't do it in the DIY thing that we used to because it's obviously a lot bigger. And I know there's been kerfuffle about the money and all this sort of thing, but I'm afraid this is the this is the new millennium. You know, it's 2000 and, what is it, 2012?
11.
2011. And things cost more now, and it's unfortunate, but I know money is an ugly thing, but it, you know, it has to be there. But that being said, yeah, the way I'm trying to approach this is not to be, you know, we're not trying to be like the bootleg Beatles, we're not trying to be a pretend version of Crass. We're performing these songs and presenting them in as most a respectful and professional way as possible, trying to keep as close as we can. But, you know, I said to the female vocalist at rehearsal the other day, don't try and be Eve Libertine, do it in your own interpretation. You know, we want you, not, it's an interpretation of these songs. So, with that, you know, as much as I can, I want to sort of share it with people. It's really important to me, you know, because, look, if it weren't for those people who used to come to shows or used to buy the records or write to us or whatever, we wouldn't have existed. I mean, quite often people say to me, Steve, don't you ever get tired of answering questions about Crass? And I say, no, I don't. And even if I did, I haven't got a right to, because if it wasn't for those people, you know, I wouldn't have had such a wonderful time, you know, that I had, and I certainly wouldn't be able to do this. And anyway, if people were prepared to get off their backsides and go out into a cold, rainy, wintry night to come to one of our shows, or if they spent their hard-earned money on buying one of our tinny little records, the least I can do in return is to put on a damned good performance for them, and as professionally as possible, and to give them at least 20 minutes of my time if they want to talk to me about, you know, when I'm in America, or certainly when I'm in New York, you'll either find me by the bar or by the merchandise store, and I will answer any question. You know, I'll be there to be, you know, questioned. I'll be around.
Thank you.
So I'm a really nice bloke. Honestly, I'm a really nice bloke.
I get that. I totally get that. I get that it's not about you at all.
No, of course it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You know, all right, people cheer and applaud and all that sort of stuff, but no, I know it's not about me.
Yeah.
All I am is the mouthpiece for an ideal, or for a set of fantastic words, you know.
Right.
I know that I'm just a vehicle for that.